Every family operates on a specific dynamic, and in many households, there is a role known as the easy child. This is the kid who asks for nothing, causes no friction, and as a result, receives exactly what they ask for, nothing. For Mark, this role was established early. Growing up in Ohio, his younger sister Kelsey was a competitive gymnast. Her training camps, shin splints, and beam routines became the central operating system for their entire household. Mark, meanwhile, read books in his room and taught himself to code. His parents never explicitly told Mark he didn't matter. Instead, they used the language of logistics to justify prioritizing his sister. A family vacation got cut short because Kelsey's coach added extra practices. Mark rode to Christmas at his grandmother's with his uncle because the family car was packed with gymnastics gear. When favoritism is packaged as practicality, the easy child is forced to participate in their own erasure. If there is a logical reason why you are being left out, speaking up makes you the unreasonable one. The easy child label acts as a permanent mandate, requiring that child to constantly minimize their own existence, so the rest of the family system can keep functioning without friction. The breaking point arrived when Mark was 22. He requested time off from his first post-college job and drove 4 hours back to Ohio for a planned Thanksgiving dinner. When he pulled into the driveway at 2 in the afternoon, his key wouldn't turn the deadbolt. His parents had changed the locks over the summer and forgot to tell him. As he stood confused on the porch, his phone buzzed. It was a text from his mother explaining that Kelsey's new boyfriend was joining them. She noted Kelsey was anxious about the space, so they decided it would be easier if Mark sat this holiday out. They hadn't completely forgotten him, though. Down on the welcome mat sat a plastic Tupperware container filled with cornbread stuffing, topped with a yellow sticky note that read, "Happy Thanksgiving, M," next to a hastily drawn smiley face. Mark didn't bang on the door or scream through the window. He listened to his family laughing inside, realized the imbalance was permanent, picked up the container, and drove 4 hours back to Columbus. When a family repeatedly chooses someone else's comfort over your own inclusion, walking away without a word becomes a necessary defense of your own existence. There was no dramatic blowout. Mark simply stopped participating. He let his apartment lease expire, forwarded his mail to a P.O. box, changed his phone number, and moved his remote tech job to Boise, Idaho. Over the next 7 years, he built a life from scratch. He bought a 3-bedroom house near the foothills, earned 2 promotions, and built a supportive relationship with his partner, Jess. His family's response to his disappearance was brief. His mother called a college friend, and his father drove to the old Columbus apartment. When those attempts hit a dead end, they gave up, distracted by whatever was happening in Kelsey's life. Peace for a marginalized family member arrives when they stop waiting for a seat at a table that was never built to accommodate them. Mark was 29 and established as a senior software engineer. Then he opened a technical onboarding roster for his company's latest acquisition and saw the name of a new QA analyst, Kelsey Brennan, relocating from Ohio to Boise. His immediate instinct was to quit his job and flee the city. 7 years of carefully constructed stability felt vulnerable to the gravity of his old family system. When they finally crossed paths in the office, Mark maintained strict professionalism. Kelsey began telling coworkers that her arrival was a heartwarming coincidence, framing herself as the devoted sister who had finally tracked down her lost brother. Toxic family structures aggressively resist change. When the easy child breaks their assigned role, the system often uses narrative control to force them back into compliance. The boundary testing escalated. Mark pulled into his driveway after work to find a silver Hyundai with Ohio plates parked on the street. His parents had crossed the country uninvited. They confronted him with tears and a rewritten history. In their version, they had never excluded him. Instead, they claimed he had suffered a breakdown, a story that conveniently erased their own accountability for his departure. Mark and Jess held the line. They stood on the porch, refused to let his parents inside, and told them they needed to leave. People who feel entitled to your time and space will always view a boundary as an unprovoked attack. The next morning, Mark drove to his parents' hotel with a specific purpose: to permanently correct the record of why he left. He methodically dismantled a lifetime of their logistical excuses. He forced them to confront the Thanksgiving Tupperware, laying out exactly how they had weaponized practicality to mask emotional neglect. Later, he delivered a distinction to his sister. He acknowledged that while she wasn't the architect of his exclusion, she was the oblivious beneficiary of it, and her ignorance didn't erase the damage. Kelsey retaliated by filing a formal HR complaint, accusing Mark of being cold and dismissive. Mark presented his 6-year professional record and asked to be reassigned, ending her attempt to weaponize their workplace. You cannot reason with a family system that is committed to misunderstanding you. The only winning move is to refuse to play the game. Following the HR review, Kelsey transferred to the company's Portland office. The parents returned to Ohio. Weeks later, Mark received a letter from his mother. She had finally noticed the 7-year gap in her kitchen cabinet and wrote to apologize. That missing container currently sits on the top shelf of Mark's own kitchen, tucked away behind a stack of mixing bowls. The plastic box serves as evidence of his survival. It is a reminder that he picked it up off a porch in Ohio and carried it 2,000 miles into a life where the door is always open. You do not have to stand on a porch waiting for a door that will never open. Walking away empowers you to build a life bigger than the space they refuse to make for you.